Hi, this is Terry. Welcome back to my channel. As we continue the Midlife Opportunities series, I thought we would check in on exploration and experimentation. As we are, like me, I'm facing what I consider the second half of my life, the next 50 years. I'm like exploring and I'm experimenting and I'm trying on new things to figure out, well, what do I want more of? What do I want less of? And trying to focus on a little bit more of the here and now and not so much on having it all figured out for the next 50 years, which can be incredibly daunting. Like right now, especially with the pandemic, with the uncertainty, with so much that is going on, you know, trying to plan for next month is actually hard, let alone later in the year, 2022, or even beyond. As a planner, that makes me incredibly uncomfortable, and I have to constantly remind myself to just say, you know, just focus on the now. Don't worry about it. You don't have to have the backup plan to the backup plan to the backup plan.
You only need 2 backup plans.
Oh my God, it's just so ridiculous. The mental gymnastics that I go through when, you know, when I do so many different things to think through, well, what's that going to lead to? Where's that going to go? And right now I'm doing, this is where we are now. This is where I am now. And I'll figure it out later. And part of that is actually trusting myself that I can deal with and respond to pretty much just about everything or anything that is thrown at me. In fact, my co-star today was something to the extent of, you know, let me see if I could find it. You know how to take a punch and keep going. This means you have an almost supernatural ability to experience difficulty and move on. It's not some strange new taste, it's your wildness. Trust it. I'm like, ooh, and I also like the idea of the wildness. It's really easy to become very complacent in our lives, especially raising kids, you know, having our careers, you know, being married for almost 25 years. And I like the idea of getting a little bit spicy and maybe getting a little wild. I kind of like that. And that ties into the experimenting and the exploration. In chapter, let me see if I can even read it, chapter 10 of my book, Piloting Your Life, I talk about in the Wild Blue Yonder exploration and experimentation chapter, I just start asking questions about what if everything we thought to be wasn't, or thought to be true wasn't? What if we stopped assuming that we already knew what we would be good at, whether we'd like something or whether we would hate something? Imagine the opportunities that would open up and the things we could learn that might lead to something else even more wonderful and interesting. I go on to say midlife is the best time to adopt a beginner's mindset in terms of exploring and experimenting. And that's on page 125. A little bit later in the chapter, I talk about as we try new things and, you know, we can't just blindly go through and do this without being somewhat intentional. Yeah, the path will present itself, but, you know, we may not ever check in to see, are we even on the right path? So I recommend that as you try on new things, this is on page 131, check in with yourself. See how you feel, reflect on the experiences. What did you like? What did you learn? What do you want more of? And what do you want to avoid forevermore? And then the question becomes, do you want to keep exploring or try something different? And I really like that, because if we allow the path to present itself, we focus on this with an intentional beginner's mindset, who knows what's going to open up? If we think about what we thought we liked at 20 or 25 or even 30, who we are now, like at 50, I'm a complete, you know, at the core, I'm still who I am, but I have a lot more experience and wisdom. I've done a lot more. I've been a lot more places. I know a lot more people, and I'm really more in touch with who I am. And so it just would be irresponsible of me to not try some things that I thought I did or didn't like at 20 that I may like now, or something might have changed. Who knows?
Example. You once said you were not a runner, and then you ran a couple half marathons, and now you don't really run that much, but that's kind of beside the point. It's like,
yeah, it was like, you know, when I was younger, and I talk about in this book, I didn't like sushi, and then I had it at some point. I'm like, now I absolutely adore sushi, you know, and there are things that I used to like that I no longer like, you know, but I think our tastes change, our interests change, where we are, all of that changes. And I think we should be taking advantage of that, especially in midlife, as we look to, you know, spice up our lives as we're looking into the next half of them. One final thing on this. One of the other ways that we can adjust as we're exploring and experimenting is adjusting the way that we respond to things and or people, and potentially change up some of the patterns that may offer up new insights, new opportunities within relationships, within experiences. It's one of the things that I'm really trying to be very aware of, is how my behavior, my mindset, my actions affect other people around me, and potentially letting go of those things that are really not super healthy, and then seeing what the response is. So I'm really trying to break those patterns, and that's part of the experimentation that I am working on as we go through 2021, so that I can start 2022 cleaner, lighter, and have, as I'm kind of fondly referring to it, is like taking the trash out, so I'm not taking it into 2022. So a lot of work, a lot of learnings, a lot of fun stuff. I really do see midlife as an opportunity, and if you are in the 40 to 65 space, I absolutely recommend that you see midlife not as a crisis, but as an opportunity. And by the way, you don't have to buy my book, but if you'd like to buy my book, there's some juicy goodness in it. But I will continue to share some of the stuff as I am going through this transitional year of 2021. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of the comments. I'd love to hear how you are doing in 2021, and what you are experimenting and exploring with, or what patterns and habits you're trying to break and or change. And with that, let go of perfection, take some risks, and above all else, have some fun.